processes. The time is right. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. The time is right. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes.
Ganesha, be quiet. Okay. Ganesha, ఎన్నుకొని వచ్చు ఎన్నుకొని వచ్చు అంటే శారమి నిత్యానందం పరమసుఖదం కేవలం జ్ఞానమూర్తిం ద్వంద్వాతీతం గగన సదృశం తత్వమస్యాదిలక్ష్యం ఏకం నిత్యం విమలమజలం సర్వధీ సాక్షిభూతం భావాధీతం త్రిగుణరహితం సద్గురుం తం నమామి. Nithyananda, welcome each and every one of you joining with us, sitting with us, watching Nithyananda TV, Kailasa's official TV channel. Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasanidanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam, is the reviver of the Kailasa nation, the Hindu enlightened civilization and the greatest and only Hindu nation. Adepts of the science of reincarnation in Hinduism recognized Swamiji as the avatar of Paramashiva at a very tender age, revered and worshipped now as the living incarnation of super consciousness by millions. Swamiji has manifested the best contributions to Hinduism, the best contributions of Hinduism to the world, including the science of power manifestation, yoga, temple based universities, and more. Kailasa is a macrocosmic ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation which does not put importance on territory alone. Kailasa is revived by the present living incarnation of Paramashiva, the supreme pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. Vivekananda visualized it. Yogananda yearned for it. Aurobindo accelerated it. Osho worked for it. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi mandated it. And due to their sincere efforts and hard work for the last 200 years, with all their blessings, Swamiji has manifested Kailasa. Kailasa's supreme aim is to serve the religious and spiritual needs of 2 billion Hindus and the whole of humanity. Therefore, Kailasa is a consortium of multiple micronations, educational institutions, including Hindu universities, schools, gurukulas, de facto spiritual embassies, temples, temple monastery complexes, nunneries, food banks, Dhannamandirs, animal shelters, Goshala, libraries, the Jnanalaya, organic agriculture, and more. Why the revival of the Kailasa nation is needed. So here are a few facts about the abuse happening to others on this planet other than humans. Dogfighting, cockfighting, and other forms of organized animal cruelty go hand in hand with other crimes and continues in many areas of the United States due to public corruption. Every day, countless cats, dogs, and other animals suffer and die at the hands of the very people who are supposed to care for and protect them. Physical violence, emotional abuse, and life threatening neglect are daily realities of many animals. Cows in the dairy industry suffer their entire lives. From the moment they enter this world, they are treated like commodity. Special bonds are routinely broken, and cows often develop painful medical conditions. So here we'll be looking at continuously going through a lot of slides, a lot of facts and figures of how animals are being abused on a daily basis. And looking further into it, we're going to be seeing how animals are the cause for many of this. And I'm pretty sure you might have heard the saying where animals will live for the planet would be alive and animals would live longer for thousands and thousands of years if humans disappeared in a blink of an eye. But if the same thing happened to everyone else, if everyone else disappeared and humans alone were left to be on this planet, human population would die out within 1 week. So knowing how important the animals and other insects, bees, bugs, with whom and all we share this planet with, if we do not protect them, if we do not respect them, give them the same space we would want ourselves to be respected with, then we are going to be heading down a very deep and dark path. And now let's first go over some of the facts, some of the figures, something which already is being done by humanity to the rest of the planet in terms of animals and other species with whom we share this world with. Dogfighting, cockfighting, and other forms of organized animal cruelty go hand in hand with other crimes and continues in many areas of the United States due to public corruption. The HUS documented uniformed police officers at a cockfighting pit in Kentucky. The US Drug Enforcement Agency has prosecuted multiple cases where drug cartels were running narcotics through cockfighting and dogfighting operations. Dozens of homicides have occurred at cockfights and dogfights. A Californian man was killed in disagreement about a $10 cockfight bet. So he's some of the cases where law enforcement themselves are indulge in such animal cruelty, organized animal cruelty at that. And if you see it in this way, there's no difference from the people who are spreading the drugs, the difference of the people who are supposed to be catching and putting these people behind the bars, where both of them indulge in animal abuse, and both of them bring get a certain joy, certain entertainment from it. So on either aspect, you see the people who are so-called criminals and the people who are uh, morally supposed to be protecting the law enforcement and who are supposed to be the good guys, so-called good guys. Both of them are in a way a villains to these animals who are experiencing the abuse because of them every single day. Data of domestic violence and child abuse cases reveal that a staggering number of animals are targeted by those who abuse their children or spouses. There are approximately 70 million pet dogs and 74.1 million pet cats in the US, where 20 men and women are assaulted per minute, an average of around 10 million a year. In one survey, 71% of domestic violence victims reported that their abusers also targeted pets. In one study of families under investigation for suspected child abuse, researchers found that pet abuse had occurred in 88% of the families under supervision for physical abuse of their children. So you can see here, it's not about the animals themselves being abused, but it's overall the violence which is there in a normal human, where it starts with abusing the animals, abusing the pets, abusing the small things in and around your life, and then it builds up and it becomes as deep as abusing your own child. So this is the direction currently which humanity is heading towards to. Hoarding behavior often victimizes animals. Sufferings of a hoarding disorder may impose severe neglect on animals by housing far more than they are able to adequately take care of. Serious animal neglect, such as hoarding, is often an indicator of people in need of a social or mental health service. Animal hoarders are not merely people who have a few too many animals. They are individuals whose mental illness or compulsion can cause criminal behavior with horrific consequences for animals, the hoarders' families, and their communities. Hoarders exist in virtually every community and include members of every socio-economical status, gender, and educational level. An increasingly common and disturbing trend involves hoarders who operate under the disguise of being shelters or rescues. Hundreds of sick, starved, wounded, dying, and dead animals have been found in raids of such institutional hoarding facilities. Hoarding, it doesn't just stop with animals. People who abuse animals are cowardly. They take their issues out on the most defenseless victims available, and the cruelty often crosses species lines. Research in psychology and criminology show that animal abusers tend to repeat their crimes as well as commit similar offenses against members of their own species. This phenomenon is known as law enforcement. This phenomenon is known to law enforcement and humane professionals as the link. A study conducted by Northeastern University and the Massachusetts in the US found that people who abuse animals are 5 times more likely to commit violent crimes against humans. Behavioral profiles in criminals by the FBI have consistently shown that many serial murderers, rapists have abused animals in their childhood. Numerous studies have also shown that up to half of all many notorious killers, including Mary Bell, Robert Thompson, John Venables, and as well as serial murderers Ian Huntley, Thomas Hamilton, Fred West, Dennis Nilsen, Ian Bradley, Roll Moat all started out by deliberately harming animals. So fundamentally, it doesn't just not it's not about abuse which is happening to humans, abuse which is happening to animals. It's overall the amount of violence a person is carrying inside and unable to control and deal with themselves because of that violence that is fundamentally resulting in number of problems, be it whoever it may be. The animals are unfortunately the first people who fall victim to this abuse, but it doesn't end there. These people, as the statistics have showed, end up to become notorious killers, and people who have been serial killers and mass murderers, they all started in their childhood by abusing animals. Much like humans, cows have strong maternal instincts, but a mother's bond with her calf has no place on a factory dairy farm. Shortly after birth, calves are dragged away from their mother, never to be seen again. A cow will have to go through this painful process every year of her life. The milk she produces for her calf is instead taken from her and sold to consumers. After being torn away from her mothers, calves will spend much of their lives in extreme confinement. In fact, most will spend the first 2 or 3 months of life confined in lonely, barren hutches, fed a diet of milk replacer while humans drink the milk intended for them. Over 90% of US dairy farms are confined in primarily indoor operations, with more than 60% tethered by the neck inside barren stalls, unable to perform even the most basic behaviors essential to their well being. As cows get older, they undergo a series of painful mutations. Branding. Workers heat iron bars in open fires and burn the flesh of young cows. These untreated wounds are ripe for infection. Dehorning. To remove an animal's horns, workers cut them out and burn off delicate tissue. A cow's horns are full of blood and hypersensitive nerve endings, but this is done without any anesthesia. Tail togging. Another common practice is for cows to have their tails removed. They'll either be cut off with shears or, in some instances, workers will wrap wire or rubber bands around the tail. Cows in the dairy industry face the same fate as those in the meat industry. They are killed when their milk production declines. No cow is allowed to live out the natural lifespan of up to 25 years. In fact, 20% of the beef sold in stores comes from cows who are exploited by the dairy industry. After being transported long distances, cows are forced into stun boxes. Inside these chambers, they are shot in the head, a process meant to render them unconscious. However, many are still conscious when they have their throats slit. Watch a small video on animal cruelty. Swamiji is explaining on Kailasa stance in protecting animal rights.
The next, Blue Om. The Blue Om will be working for animal rights. We human beings need to know planet Earth does not belong to only human beings. We have no right to eliminate life. We have no right to kill animals for any purpose, for any reason. No right to kill any life. So the Blue Home, under this organization Blue Home, we will start working for animal rights. Understand? Kailasa and Kailasians were providing services various ways throughout the world under various banners, under various organizations. The White Home will be working to provide psychological healing, emotional healing, spiritual counseling, and superconscious breakthrough. The sixth organization, Yellow Om, will be providing yogic, Ayurvedic solutions and medical care
to the whole world in need. Whoever is in need, the Hindu yogic sciences based, Hindu medicine science based, knowledge assistance and even medicinal assistance, training, all of it will be provided under the organization Yellow Om. Why yellow? For training and teaching. Guru's color is yellow. Guru, Deva Guru, Brihaspati, his color is yellow. So, to celebrate Deva Guru, Brihaspati, under the Yellow Om, we will be providing all the knowledge related services, including creating libraries, access to libraries to the whole world, and people who are in need of knowledge. All our activities providing knowledge, all will be done under Yellow Om.
Yes. As Swamiji beautifully explained, humans have no right to kill other life. And it is for that purpose Swamiji has initiated many endeavors towards protecting animal rights and the rights especially of cows. Kailasa's Department of Environment and Animals, the concerning body for the protection of animals, forests, and the ocean, by establishing lifestyles with zero impact on the environment and promoting the right for all living beings to live and achieve enlightenment. The department seeks to ensure that Sri Kailasa contributes towards growing a more healthy planet Earth. Kailasa's Uniting Nations for Animal Rights. Kailasa Uniting Nations for Animal Rights is the extension of the protection according by Paramashiva to all his beings extended by His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam in the USA in 2004 as an NGO serving the cause of welfare for beings. Swamiji has also initiated the project Kailasa's Go Mandir project, envisioned restoration, reverence, and cultural importance of cows as Gomata, raised cows status to Mandir, and addressed it as the Nithyananda Go Mandir. Nithyananda Go Mandir, a Goshala established to bring back the glory of Desi breeds of cows of Bharat, bred and developed by our great rishis of Vedic era to nourish and serve the ritual needs. Swamiji has stressed about the importance of cows, their smell, power of Godhuli, addressing cows as Gomata, mother, next to biological mother who gave birth and deserves all respect. He has been campaigning the vegetarian lifestyle for the planet, going against the greedy, violent factory farming, and is bringing back the glorious agrarian based society of the Vedic era of Bharat. Nityananda Gomandir project is maintained by the funds raised as donations from Godana, Goseva, Nitya Go Puja, and offerings from Sarvagnapeetam. Swamiji has envisioned 5,000 Desi cows in the Nityananda Goshala and showcasing to the world as the best Goshala and a place for the happiest cows kept as per the Vedagamic instructions. Milk from the Desi cows are used for rituals and Abhishekam of Sri Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalaya and consumed by the Gurukula and Annalaya in the Bengaluru Adinam. So now that we looked over animals and the abuse being done to them by humans, we're going to look a little bit over what is the Vakyartha Sadhas. As part of the revival of the Kailasa nation and Hinduism, Swamiji has introduced the Vakyartha Sadhas to all of us, an important aspect unique only to Hinduism. the Vakyartha Sadhas is not just for us to have deeper truths into the powerful cognitions, but also help in building the foundation of the Kailasa nation. The Vakyartha Sadhas is a part of a four-step process which is laid out in our Vedas and in our Agamas, which is needed to imbibe any powerful cognition and thought current. So, what is the first-step process? The first-step process starts with Shravana, listening to the truth from the master. The second step of the first-step process is Manana, contemplating and internalizing the truth. The third step of the first-step process is where the Vakyartha Sadhas happens, the Khandana and Mandana of your logic. Khandana means your breaking of your existing logic, existing binary logic. And Mandana is allowing that logic to expand and become the multidimensional logic of the cosmos. Finally, the last step of the first-step process is Nididhyasana, living these great truths in your life. The topic for today's Vakyartha is why is it the responsibility of human beings to protect the lives and legitimacy of the other people, of the other beings with whom we share this planet with? How does protecting the lives of animals and wildlife bring humans closer to the space of Advaita? So this is the topic for today's Vakyartha Sadhas. Before we directly enter into the Vakyartha Sadhas itself, I have a few devotees, disciples joining us from various parts of the world to being here, participating with us in the Vakya Sadhas, along with myself, Srinitya Mangalananda Maharaj. We also have Renoshin Edmund and Srinitya Ashutoshananda, both of them joining us from Canada. We also have Murli joining us from Chennai, India. So thank all three of you so much for coming today and being a part of this Vakyartha Sadhas. So let's go ahead and share our introductions for our viewers, and then we can enter into the Vakya Sadhas. My name is Srinitya Mangalananda Maharaj, and I'm a Balsant of the Nithyananda Gurukul. Prior to coming here, being a part of the Nithyananda Gurukul, I was born and raised back in the United States. So this is a very brief introduction about myself. And I would request my other panelists as well to keep the introduction about themselves brief, as we are short on time today. So Ashutoshananda, you can go ahead next and give a brief introduction about yourself.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. My name is Srinitya Ashutoshananda. Born in Canada. I met Swamiji in 2014 during Inner Awakening, at the time in my life where I was looking into breakthrough, conscious breakthrough, and Swamiji provided that to me. In many ways, it started in 2014. So very happy to be here today. I've been with the Sangha and with Swamiji since then. Looking forward for today's Vakyartha Sadhas. Thank you for having me, Nithyananda.
Yes, thank you so much, Srinitya Ashutoshananda. Renoshin, you can go ahead next and give a very brief introduction about yourself. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Nithyananda. My name is Renoshin, and I'm from Toronto, Canada. And I am a disciple of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. And I've known Swamiji since around 2013. And yes, I'm very excited to be a part of this Vakyartha Sadhas today. Thank you, Nithyananda.
Yes, thank you, Renoshin, for coming today and being a part of the Vakya Sadhas. Muliaya, you can go ahead next. Give a very brief introduction about yourself, and then we can get started into the Vakya Sadhas.
Thank you, Maharaj. This is Murli from Chennai, India. I have been with Swamiji since 2013. I became a disciple of Swamiji after through an inner awakening program in March 2013. It is actually a 21-day meditation program that Swamiji used to conduct those days, back to back all through the year. It was a really life-changing program, I should say, because a lot of clicks have happened. Many knots in my life have got disentangled because of the program, and a lot of clarity has happened about many phenomena which I was confused, and I was so confused that I did not even know that I was confused. I was always blaming somebody else. So thanks to Swamiji for making me a part of the program and still keeping me with him, because it's a very pleasant journey from then on. I'll answer about the many clicks through as a way of answering the other questions. So thank you, Maharaj.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much. So diving into the topic for today, why is it the responsibility of human beings to protect the lives and legitimacy of other beings with whom we share this planet with? How does protecting the lives of animals and wildlife bring humans closer to the space of Advaita.
Wow.
So the last question is pretty interesting. How does protecting the lives of animals and wildlife bring humans closer to the space of Advaita? I think when you are in the space of Advaita, then naturally you automatically uh, bring protect the lives of animals and wildlife. When you know that they're your extensions, they're your arms, they're your legs, they're your eyes. When you start relating to them more of as a person rather than as another pet animal or another zoo creature, you know that they have feelings and they have something also to contribute directly to your life. This is the same thing actually which I was telling about which we were discussing about yesterday in yesterday's Vakyartha about why Hindus do not understand the need of political legitimacy, because fundamentally they do not understand the need of Hinduism. Everyone, if the same thing which is happening to Hinduism, if it happens to something else, let's say to the smartphone industry, would the whole world keep quiet? There would be an uproar, and overnight things would be completely different. So why is it happen? Why if it's smartphones, it's happening, but it's not happening for anything else? That is because people have understood the need and the importance of smartphones, and it has become an integral part of every person's life. Unfortunately, Hinduism and protecting animal rights and everything else, all the problems which we're facing, has not become as important. People have not understood the importance of it in the same way they have understood the importance of a smartphone. And it's not something to be understood, it's something which they are experiencing every day in their life. When they also start experiencing animals as something more than just a pet, something more than just something to show off and to cuddle, then they will start respecting the rights of animals as well. And that is why Swamiji is trying to revive and trying to bring back the Shakti of humans being able to commune and communicate with animals. It is fundamentally only when that happens, people understand that animals are more than just creatures with fur and feathers and so on. They have life, they can think, and they can contribute to society as well. Only when we understand that importance, only then we are going to only when we understand that importance, only then we are going to really start taking animal rights seriously. So this is my initial take on this question. Ranoshan, maybe you can go ahead next and share your initial take on this question as to why animal rights need to be protected by humans.
Yes. So I actually wanted to expand on what you're sharing, Maharaj. There's one click that happened as I was watching today's presentation. Human body is, as far as Ranoshan remembers, Swamiji sharing, is the peak of the natural evolution and the peak of the conscious descent, where the two are actually physically meeting. And so human beings have the peak possibility to have the quantum breakthrough and literally manifest enlightenment, manifest powers. Swamiji even shares how even the devas have to come down into Bhuloka in the human body to basically become liberated. And so this is the first thing. And the real click that's happening here is, okay, so humans have this great possibility. So now why are we manifesting one thing or another? Why are we manifesting this thing of hoarding animals, keeping animals as pets, abusing animals, to things like that, everything in the dairy industry, the meat industry, all these things? Why is all these things happening? This one very strong click that happened during today's presentation is what Swamiji shared some time ago during the Kathopanishad series. It's okay can kill you. The words it's okay. And the real click that's happening here is the moment we say it's okay to having this sort of vatavarana. For example, when it comes to the animal abuse, where like there's the dogfighting rings, the cockfights and all these things, the moment that that is considered okay in an ecosystem where it's kind of tolerable, then that's basically like that negative life negativity starts to slip through the cracks. Like Swamiji was sharing yesterday, or I could say the day before, there's the muscle memory, biomemory, and bioenergy. As soon as we say it's okay to life negativity, that becomes muscle memory. The action starts to happen. And then the more and more we say it's okay to these things, it starts to become biomemory. It starts to slip through the cracks. And then more and more we say it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That slips even deeper to the next level, to the bioenergy. And so then we're caught in this whole delusion. And this whole thing, what I'm trying to get at, is it all comes down to the whole thing of it's okay to life negativity in any scale, from the scale of abusing animals to the scale of hoarding animals to the scale of neglect of wildlife, neglect of creatures, the mass extinctions, the mass killings, all these things. The moment we say it's okay, then we're allowing life negativity to slip through the cracks. Now, what is Hinduism? Hinduism is the Vata Varana of life positivity. Hinduism is an ecosystem where you can't even think about grazing another animal just to kill and eat it. It's out of the question. Like, what do you mean? Hinduism is a space where it's about coexistence. If there's another animal in your life, it's not that they're a pet. No, you're coexisting with them. It's completely different from pets. It's completely different from, like, because the whole idea of pets is you're looking, or I can say, not to generalize, but when you start to hoard animals, you start to look at each animal as a matter instead of a being. And so you start to hoard the matter. You start to collect everything without realizing they're actually beings. And then the whole mess starts. So just to wrap up this point quickly is, how does protecting the lives of animal and wildlife bring humans closer to the space of Advaita? Because it creates the Vata Varana of life positivity, of coexistence, of Ekoham Bahushyama, Paramashiva's very first cosmic constitution, I can say. Aligning back to that as a lifestyle. Aligning back to that in every level, whether it comes to the engaging with people, engaging with wildlife, engaging with even matter, looking even at matter as a being. Engaging in all these things brings the human being, which is the peak possibility, the peak of natural evolution and the peak of the descent of consciousness. Giving Vata Varana for that conscious explosion to happen is why we need to create this space of protecting lives of animals, creating this space for the coexistence to happen. This is the main click that's happening from this side.
Yes, thank you so much, Ranoshan. Ashutosh, you can go ahead next and share your initial take on today's topic for Vakyartha Sadhas. Please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. For me, the first thing which is striking, especially in the second part of the question, how does protecting lives of animals and wildlife brings human closer to the space of Advaita? Adding on to what Reynold-san just shared, human body is the peak potential body. It's the body, the highest, most evolved body, which allows you to experience consciousness, to jump into that superconscious breakthrough. So that superconscious breakthrough means you realize, you cognize Paramashiva, you as Paramashiva. Paramashiva is all-pervading. Paramashiva is the only Purusha. He's the one who infuses life in everything, in every form. Even rocks have some form of life. Even that life within the rock is happening out of Paramashiva's grace, prasadam. So, human beings, the higher they go, when they start to stop operating from the lower chakras, from lust, fear, worries, food patterns, and when they start to move towards heart, Vak, Vishuddhi, Anya, and then Sahasrara, as they move towards higher frequencies, they start to realize more and more the Paramashivoham experience. It becomes more of a solid experience within that being. And the more you get in tune with the Paramashivoham experience, the more you realize that you exist within everything. So you can no longer relate to things in the same way. When you're unconscious and ignorant, the way you relate to your body, yourself, and things around you is in a certain form because of that ignorance which is there, that forgetfulness, that apasmara which is there. But the more you raise yourself, your experience of you changes, and therefore your experience of things around you changes as well. And it changes in a more and more non-violent way. It raises towards the space of non-violence. So you cannot relate and treat Animals is the first thing, but Swamiji is even sharing, like, even when he sees an ocean, a tree or something, he sees it, he doesn't see any difference between a human and the ocean, because he's cognizing the Paramashiva. He's cognizing Paramashiva, and Paramashiva is, so in that way, not, I think initially it could be even used as a technique, like being non-violent with things around you. But the more and more you live it, the more it starts to become your realization, and the more you don't want to be violent, and you can't actually. At some point, it becomes like it's not even a possibility anymore, because your awareness has raised to such an extent that the experience of Paramashivoham becomes more and more real for you, and therefore you become non-violent and caring. You feel responsible for everything around you. Paramashiva is responsible for the entire creation and more. So it's like you feel responsible. When you feel responsible, you don't behave violently. When the mother feels responsible for the child, she will not abuse the child. It's impossible. It's impossible. Only when that feeling of responsibility disappears, is forgotten, only then relating to things around you in a violent way becomes possible. So the more you raise yourself, the closer you get to the space of Advaita, the more you will feel responsible, the more non-violent you will be, and therefore you will take care of beings around you and create an environment where everybody will be able to flourish. So that would be my initial take on this question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ashutosha. Mulya, can you finally summarize and share your initial take of today's topic? Please go ahead.
Why is it the responsibility of human beings to protect the lives and legitimacy of these beings? Yes, I think what Renoshan had shared clicks with me also. See, the human body frame is actually the peak frame from which the consciousness can manifest in its glorious dimension. What all possibilities can exist? What all possibilities can manifest? The best thing out of all that can manifest only through the human frame. And what exactly we mean here can be only explained in more clear terms in a way that the common man or the binary logic mind can understand. It can happen only through a enlightened being. So we are not I don't think it can be explained in the terms that other people can understand. The main people can understand. See, it is a responsibility of human beings only because this is the peak frame. Many things can happen. Many possibilities can manifest only from the human frame, and that is why it is the responsibility of humans. For one thing, we can say, like other life forms may not be able to think, or at least they cannot be trained to think. There is something called animal instinct. What is that animal instinct? The most natural reaction, response to anything that is happening around. This animal instinct can be curbed consciously and can be regulated. It can be redirected only with the human mind framework. That we cannot expect in any animal. We cannot expect in any other being, any other form. The basic being is the same. That's how we want to say, we want to convey, but that's what Advaita. But how it manifests, what manifests outside, on the outside, that can be controlled and redirected, and it can be manifested in a more conscious, positive way, only through the human framework, human being framework. So that is why it is the responsibility of the human beings to actually establish this legitimacy. See, we cannot go and talk to a tiger, don't kill a deer. You cannot go on because that it's natural food. But we humans can actually tell other beings what to do and what not to do. You don't find a animal training a human. You only find a human training an animal. So that is why. And how and what is this Advaita? How everything is the same? That's very fascinating, I should say. It's very fascinating to understand this concept of Advaita. You see a plant, you see a deer, you see a tiger, you see a lion, you see an elephant, you see a human. They are all same. Where is the sameness? What is that is running common across all these things? The soul, the basic being, they are all same, and that is what we mean by Advaita. And it's very fascinating. It's very interesting insight, and this thought actually triggered the idea of seeking insight. When Swamiji said that we are all the same, this is Advaita. And in what way, what is the sameness component? What is that is running common in across all these life forms? See, when we talk about an elephant or a tiger or a lion, these are all just bodies. So this is only the same idea. The idea, the Advaita, when you recognize Advaita, it is like it is one more way of saying this is just a body. So how that this is just a body is what we should contemplate. And that contemplation itself is a sweet experience Swamiji has given, and I think we should thank Swamiji for that. So answering the Sadhas question, I will reiterate what I said before. It is from the human framework. It is a human framework. I don't mean, everything human. How the body is, how the mind is, what it can develop, what is genius, what is prodigy, what is retardation, everything. The whole human, the idea of human, it is only from that framework we can manifest the consciousness in its largest dimension. So that is why it is the responsibility of the humans, because we cannot train any other animal to think like that. We cannot train any other bird or any other being to think and manifest. For one thing, only humans can speak and express. Swamiji was saying when he talks about Advaita, he says that even that there's nothing like inanimate. Like even that rock or a sand or ocean, that mountain, everything seems to have life. Everything has life. Now, how do you say it has life? Does it breathe? Does it see, eat, sleep, and all that? See, the idea of eating, sleeping, Swamiji says, these five senses are the window through which consciousness expresses itself. Just because you don't have the organs there in that part of existence, it doesn't mean existence doesn't manifest there. It does. So this has to be, this can be understood and explained only by an enlightened being. So, and when we are close to this enlightened space, we will even empathize with these ideas, understand these ideas at least intellectually. Otherwise, we'll just be absorbed in the gross material consciousness, and we'll just look at everything as inanimate. And even when we are stuck at an even lower level, we'll look at animals as just as one animal as food for another, or animals as food for humans. So only the humans can think through and understand how or why this is so. So Advaita is really very interesting, fascinating, seeking window to enter Hinduism. So this is what I will initially say, Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you, Aya. So another point which I wanted to bring out in today's presentation was about abuse, about the violence which exists in a human being. So one aspect of it, there are three aspects. One is the animal abuse which is happening. One, the abuse which is happening especially to cows for being used as commodities, and first milking them out of all of the milk, and then after they can't give milk anymore, killing them and serving them as beef. So these are the major two things when it comes into direct abuse of animals. The third aspect of today's Vakyartha Sadhas is where animals are the victims to people's violence, where if they cannot directly show the violence onto another human being, onto another person, it goes out first onto the animals. And so this generally, like how we saw the statistics, it doesn't stop with animals, it starts with them, and then it ends and becomes much more bigger things where you are dealing with mass murderers and notorious killers and so on. And with all the people who abuse animals in the young age may not become serial killers. All serial killers, most of them have abused animals in the past. And so this thing where they start abusing, the whole pattern of abusing another person, abusing another being, starts with abusing animals, and then later it continues on into harming other people as well. So this shows a direct relation to how much of violence a human being is carrying. And it's just actually a real eye opener where we don't realize that we know spouses abuse the family, and we know certain aspects of abuse happening among humans, but we never thought of realizing about how this is affecting animals as well. Many animals, domestic animals, we keep it along with ourselves, we keep it within our household, and how they are also sometimes a victim to. Sorry for the technical glitch. Many of the times we don't realize how they affect the domestic creatures who are living around us as well. And this overall not a problem about protecting animal rights, not a problem about giving protection for humans, but a problem of how much enmity, how much violence is being carried out, is being held inside by a person. So fundamentally, a lot of the abuse which is happening right now is due to the abuse, and not due to the abuse, due to the violence a person is carrying inside himself. Swamiji once told that a person who commits a crime, person who commits, uh, something, who's put into jail, he doesn't need punishment. He needs healing, and only if you heal them, only then it's going to solve the problem. Punishment may only, it's a one-time solution. Only if you give them healing, only then you're going to permanently solve the problem.
Yes, just to expand on this, is even Swamiji was sharing in yesterday evening satsang. Intensity, taking yourself sincerely, is more than enough to manifest all dimensions of enlightenment in you. And really the click here and how it ties into our topic today is in this space where a being might have some kind of violence in their inner space. Any kind of violence, whether it's on the level of muscle memory, bioenergy, any kind of violence. The moment you awaken the intensity, the sincere intensity, as in the passion with the patience, not the patience alone, not the passion alone, but the passion with the patience, authentic intensity, taking yourself sincerely, it brings you to a kind of space where you start to really look in and see, why do I do the things that I do? Why do I react the way that I react? What's going on? Am I actually, like, basically what's going on, this whole thing? And the moment this intensity starts, the intensity starts to go in the other direction. Start to see, why am I doing what am I doing? And then the completion starts to happen, and then the inner space everything starts to happen. But the main thing is, as soon as this sincere intensity is introduced, then the whole game changes. And this is where actually having the Vata Varana of Sangha is so important. Having the digital ecosystems, having the Paramashivoham sessions, having the Satsangs, daily Satsangs, everything is so important just to be able to provide this ambience where the sincere intensity can be awakened. As soon as it's awakened, then the possibility, I can say the possibility is already there, but the possibility is awakened to be able to manifest all dimensions of the superconscious breakthrough in you. Because every single human being, no matter where they might be in life, no matter what kind of violence they're holding in the inner space, they still have the same peak possibility. The only thing that needs to happen is this sincere intensity needs to be awakened. This is just one click that happened as you were sharing. Also just to tie it into Swamiji Satsang. Thank you.
Yes, one thing I also wanted to add and expand on was, see, Swamiji is constantly bringing powerful cognitions to us. And he has initiated us and is constantly bringing us back to the space where Swamiji describes as a powerfulness without the possibility of powerlessness. And one thing which I have witnessed around is that human beings, like, we have this feeling that we are powerful because of various things, because of the technology we've developed, because of our capacity to change the environment at our whim, like stuff like that, like various reasons why we feel powerful. But when Swamiji was expanding on the importance of coming back to a powerful space, as I was looking in, I started to realize that deep down, the human being is cognizing and stuck in a space where there is a tremendous amount of powerlessness. And one of the ways how this powerlessness manifests is abusing animals. When you're so powerless in front of the reality which you are creating in front of you, you will not engage with that reality straight on. You won't engage with that. What you will do, you will be stuck in a space of vengeance, and you will express that vengeance onto a lower level of life, such as animals. See, if you are powerless and you want to engage with a human being, when you're powerless, you might not want to do that, because the human being, to a certain extent, has the same weapons you have, right? It's a kind of a one-on-one kind of a relationship. But when you are powerless and you want to express your whatever is sitting inside your space, but when you're from a space of powerlessness, because the human being, the easy way out is to unleash that space of yours, which is most of the time like anger and all that kind of stuff, to unleash that onto a lower level of being, which cannot respond to you in the way where a human would. So it's very easy to abuse animals. It's very easy to abuse animals because most of these animals which are being abused, they won't do much. So it's kind of a punching bag, it seems to be like kind of a punching bag thing. But the problem is that the more you do that, it just strengthens the powerlessness, because you're experiencing some form of incompletion inside of you, expressing that incompletion outside is not going to free you from that incompletion. Addressing the source of that incompletion is going to free you from that incompletion. And the source of that incompletion is the powerlessness. So that's why you need powerful cognitions. You need higher understandings about yourself, about the world, about Ishvara, about the ultimate, Paramashiva. You need to have higher understandings, powerful cognitions, to snap out of the delusion of powerlessness. From there, then you will the big breakthrough. It becomes possible. So I feel that abusing animals is a way that shows how powerless humanity has become, because that level of insensitivity towards animals is a reflection of the level of insensitivity that one has towards oneself. So it's definitely something that needs a lot of contemplation and looking in, and a lot of completion. We have to come back to a space where we can relate to ourselves in a powerful way, in a complete way. And the more that happens, the more that gets translated in the outer world, in the way we relate to animals, other human beings, and everything. Environment, same thing goes with the environment, right? Why do we feel the need? That's one of the clicks. Just expanding one last thing, but why do we feel the need of molding Earth as we want? Where does that need come from? Why is this desire even there? Like, what's wrong with the way Earth is? One of the clicks I had personally on that line is also related to when we were living in the wild, we had fears, obviously. Until you're enlightened, fear will be there. Fear of the wildlife, because wildlife can take away your life. So instead of attending to the fear, like we've seen in Sanatana Hindu Dharma, so many rishis or enlightened beings, they conquered the fear within themselves, and then they could sit. And even if a lion would come by, the lion would not attack them. They would be sitting in meditation, in samadhi, and the lion would be there, and then he would go. A completely non-violent happening, because that being has conquered himself. That's also why Shiva has a tiger skin around him. He conquered all these dimensions, lower frequencies. He's above all these lower frequencies. But instead of doing that, instead of looking in and conquering the fear within, we decided to create a bubble. See, our cities are nothing but bubbles from life. We create our bubble and we live in our bubble and we feel like, oh, we're protected. But you're not protected, because the source of the problem sits inside of you. Even if you create the greatest bubble around you, it's not going to do anything. So in that way, and that's why these bubbles are so destructive. Cities are destroying the earth, literally. Why? Because the whole thought current from which this very idea of developing in that way happened, as far as that's the click I got, that whole thought current is coming out of powerlessness. So everything which comes out of powerlessness is going to damage, because powerlessness destroys, powerfulness enriches. So I feel it's really a need of looking into the source, the space from which we make decisions, the space from which we decide to expand, and how we decide to expand. And so in that way, human beings today, I personally see a lot of different levels of powerlessness manifesting in various ways in the lifestyle we have today. And that's why reviving Sanatana Hindu Dharma is very important, because in the lifestyle of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, these levels of powerlessness gets attended to the root, gets completed, and it makes life blissful and how life is supposed to happen. Thank you.
See, this
Yes.
term powerful actually has to be understood the right way, is what I will say. Continuing with what just Ashutosh has shared, the term powerful has to be understood in the right way. I think that's where the whole thing starts. Many people, the general idea of looking at the word powerful is that the capability to have one's way, come what may. That's what the word powerful seems to mean for many. But powerful doesn't mean that. Powerful means we are in a position to direct our energies, thinking at any point of time the way we want. Not necessarily dominating over others, controlling over others, or making others subservient to ourselves. So this idea of powerful, many people, as Ashutosh said, the animals don't react the way we humans do for any situations, and that is what seems to make these people do what they want to do. And where is the root of that? Ashutosh had said it's powerlessness. I will say it's greed. Swamiji once said there's a difference between owning and possessing. Where many people seem to think that they are the owner of the planet Earth. They want animals are there. See, one fellow in a non-Hindu faith, actually, one of my colleagues, he said, animals are created only for humans to consume. I was shocked at this, and he is saying this in spite of being a very devout Christian. I don't believe that. I don't take this at all. Like he was saying, it is meant for consumption. So when you look at things with that greedy mindset, everything will seem yours, and you will not look at anything as meant for coexisting with you. You will tend to grab everything that comes your way, and you will customize about everything. So there is no awareness of what you are doing. If everything is for you, if everything is for your convenience, come on, that is too much. Cow is for milking. Okay, the moment they don't milk anymore, then I'll just throw them away. I'll peel them, I'll skin them, I'll stitch shoes out of them, or purses and belts out of them. I use them that way and throw the flesh just like that, or I'll consume that also. Come on. It's all about the greed. I think the greed is the one driving more and more people to be non-veg or be cruel to animals and all that. See, Hindu scriptures say, devise your food habits in such a way that you cause the least harm. That is what the Upanishad says. Now, what is the least harm? I would like to draw the attention of our viewers to this statement, least harm. It doesn't say least harm to you, least harm to the animal, least harm to the plant. No, it stops with saying least harm. What does it mean? It means that you weigh not just what harms you, not what just harms the animal. You should weigh both and then devise your food habits accordingly. So that way speaking, you can eat plants more. You can consume plants more readily than you can consume animals, because plants grow faster than you can breed animals. Swamiji in a satsang about this non-vegism said, like, to get 1 pound of flesh, you need 30 pounds of grass or 30 pounds of vegetarian food. So that takes a greater effort. That part of existence, that is animals, they need more time for replenishing. So you have no right to destroy the earth like that. Already we have encroached upon many animal places, animal habitats. So let's stop this somewhere and become more vegan. So only that way we can actually get into the space of Advaita. We can start looking at Advaita.
Yes, yeah.
It's a starting point. That's all.
Yes, yeah. So actually, we've come a little bit short of time. Just to wrap up the whole Vakyartha Sadhas as it is, fundamentally, as I believe and as I've been sharing also previously in a lot of the Vakyartha Sadhas, humanity itself is extremely dysfunctional. The way the modern society has been built, and only if from the roots we start working and start weeding out one by one all the problems, all the fundamentals of why society does the certain way it is, the fundamentals of our healthcare system, the fundamentals of how the professional life, of how society is created to function in terms of jobs and work and so on. Fundamentally, the whole Western lifestyle is so life negative based, and because of it, it is giving rise to various different amounts of problems, not just animal abuse, but even the abuse which is happening in relationships, the problems people are having, not able to live with each other, and in multiple aspects, multiple dimensions, every dimension you pretty much take up of humanity, it is flooded with problems, it is plagued with problems. And unless from the very source, from the very root, we iron out all those weeds, we bring the Kailasa lifestyle. Finally, Hinduism, we are not asking everyone to convert the religion into Hinduism. We're asking everyone to take up this lifestyle. If we change the lifestyle of the whole world, we have a chance for saving not only them, but our planet as well. And so it's time to prepare ourselves to receive Swamiji for the Nitya Satsang. I would like to sincerely thank all our panelists for joining today, being a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas. Thank you all so much for coming today and for sharing your thoughts as to why we need to protect animal rights and why animals they have the equal right to live on this planet as much as we do. Thank you all so much for coming. With this, it's time to enter into the meditation. Prepare ourselves to receive Swamiji for the Nitya Satsang. Please sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Close your eyes and bring your awareness into your Ananda Gandha. Visualize Swamiji sitting there in your Ananda Gandha as Paramashiva with the 25 heads and 50 hands. Now, start chanting the Mahavakya mantra, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham, and allow this mantra to reverberate throughout your entire body. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Nithyananda Paramashivoham.